I feel like I'm always showing these setup workshops, but I wanted to show you today how I set them all up. So this is the before of this conference room. Actually, I've already like put the tables in a certain conversation situation that I think works well for these things. So I've moved around to the tables and now I'm gonna get all my gear out. I bring this cart up to my studio to load it up with everything. So today we're doing a weaving workshop. I have a bunch of yarn. We're gonna also use like ribbons and different notions and stuff. There's some fabric scraps down in there as well. These are everybody's cardboard looms and an example and some beads, our drinks, and just some like bits and bobs in there. Got a speaker out and ready to go. And of course my tablecloths because we need to make this nice and pink. So let's see how we do it. My favorite part is going around and doing all of the place settings. I find it so like fun to just keep going around the table and putting stuff on. I don't know. But I set up a little assembly line here with all the things, like just stacks of stuff that need to go at each spot, and I'll take each one and do like a round. So today at every spot, everyone's gonna get a Dalston's drink, one sheet of Material Grrrlz stuff, which we always do. These are Material Grrrlz logo stickers. Like that, everyone will get one of those. And then a loom. These are made out of upcycled cardboard. So I'll explain how I did that in a few minutes. Some scissors as well. This is my very fancy scissor storage. Most of my stuff I just keep in boxes that I've had stuff shipped in, so it doesn't look very nice, but it does the job. I'm gonna put this out on the table. This is my little example of what we're making today. So it's these little tapestries and we'll all get colorful dowels to hang them off of, but you can see there's a bunch of stuff you can do with them. So I usually start with fringe because I think that's just a nice way to like give it some length, and also it looks kind of odd if there's nothing on the bottom of it. You can put beads in. I have some textured yarn. I braided some yarn together here to weave that through for like multicolor stuff. So super fun. I'm excited to see what people do with all the different textures we have here. Material table tour. So we have some bigger skeins of yarn here all lined up. This is the fun scrap section. I hope people like pink because that is, you know, most of my scraps as a material girl. Then over here we have some thicker stuff and things like mohair that have some different textures. Love that stuff, as well as beads and notions. So much stuff to play around with. Oh, and I have a little fabric scrap bin down here. I couldn't make it look cute, but that will be fun to pull from as well. Tables are looking like this. So over here, this is by the door, and as everyone comes in, they're gonna make a name tag, and then I just ask people to put a heart on their name tag if they don't wanna be photographed, because obviously I take content as well. People can choose dowels to hang their tapestry on here. These are tapestry needles if people don't wanna do it simply with their hands. And I always put out some magazines for people to check out as well. Everyone has their little spot with their materials, and then as people come in, I'm gonna say that they can decorate their looms, because part of the fun of it being cardboard is that it's very easily decorable and you don't really like change the use of it by adding some colors. So I thought that'd just be fun. So I put out markers and some glitter stickers to do that. We're all set up, but I want to get ahead on an example to show. So I'm gonna show you also kind of how you use these cardboard looms in the process of doing that. So all that I've done to make this cardboard loom is cut out a piece of cardboard that's square. I mean, it could be rectangle, it could be star, it could be whatever shape you want, go crazy. Out a square, these are like 8 by 8 inches, and then 2 strips of cardboard. This is optional, but basically what it does is it helps keep the warp of your loom up off of the base of the cardboard. If these weren't here, it would just be like flat against the cardboard. It'd be hard to weave behind it. So just 2 cardboard pieces taped onto there. And then to put the warp through, I've put notches that are about 1 centimeter apart each. I find that that is a good width between. So then how we warp it, and warping is the process of putting string onto the loom so that you have something to weave through, is you take some yarn. I just have this white one here. Depending on how thick it is, it may or may not show on your tapestry. I tend to do a little bit thinner. This is like size 4 DK. That doesn't really show through. I'm going to knot in the back here a few times, and goal with this is making a big enough knot that I can go into my top left notch here, stick the yarn into it, and then it won't pull through. Check it out. Okay, so now we're gonna start warping. So we go down into that first notch and then right into the next one in the back like that. Sometimes when I've taught this before, people want to go like all the way around, and you don't want that. You want it to be just one over like that. Then we're back on the front. We'll pull it up on the front into the next hook and then down like so. And just keep, I find this very relaxing. You do have to tug on the cardboard a bit, but that's kind of one of the good things about it being a flexible material. Yeah, so I just keep doing this, and you can see why these things are helpful, because the yarn sits a bit above, and when you get all the way across here, you just do another knot at the bottom to keep your warp tight. This is just hanging down. I did not do it the wrong way on the back. So yeah, we'll start the workshop with decorating our looms, and I'll do a little example of how to warp it and then how to weave things through. But if you want to try this at home, give it a go. I think it's a very, very fun craft, so I'm excited. The workshop did end up selling out. I think in my last video I said it's like not selling as well, and I wondered if it was because people like don't want to come play with cardboard looms, but apparently they just do, just at a later time than the past workshops. So I'm excited to hang out with like 15 people and weave tonight. Also, I think we did a pretty good job of making this a cute little conference room area. Of the yarn swap, and I'm very excited because it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day outside. We have a venue where there's an inside where there's going to be tables and we're going to swap the yarn in there, but outside there's a windmill, apparently the only working windmill in London, and there's a little park underneath, and so we thought it'd be cute if people brought like picnic blankets and they could work on their projects out there in between swapping yarn. And obviously we have the inside space if it was going to rain, but it looks like it is going to be just a gorgeous, perfect sunny day, so that will be very nice to be able to use both of those spaces. I have my yarn here that I'm going to swap, and we'll see what I come back with. But part of why I'm bringing this is that Ellen and I, Elena who runs Craft Forward, are both bringing some yarn just to be the base of the yarn swap, so it's not like exactly one for one. There's like some leeway there in case something happens. We'll make sure like everyone gets to go home with good stuff. So how we're gonna do this is we design these cute little tickets. I'll insert a picture here. So when people come in, they'll get kind of a receipt. They'll check in all of their yarn, like give over their bag of yarn to us, and we'll say either it's a full skein, which is like, I mean, a full skein of yarn, or anything, of course, that has like a label still on it. A partial skein, which is like you could definitely still do something with this, but it's not a full skein. And then a yarn scrap, which is just like you'd have to use this in a scrap project, but it's still cute and like let's trade it. So then everyone will get a receipt that says how many of each of those that they have, and they will go sit down and like work on their projects while we get everything organized into piles like by size of skein. And then people can come in with their receipts, and if they brought like 3 full skeins, they can pick out 3 other full skeins, and vice versa, like with all of the other different kinds. So that is the plan. I think the receipts are quite cute. Between swapping, everyone will just be sitting outside and working on projects and hanging out. So very excited to do this. It's our first collaboration with Craft Forward, which is like odd because I've known Elena for so long, and I feel like we're both doing obviously like similar stuff, and we go to each other's clubs, so it's going to be fun to do an official event together. Welcome to my very hot flat. Air conditioning does not exist in London, so I have turned off my fan so you don't have to listen to it buzzing around, but I'm missing it, okay? And it's gonna be on immediately after I finish this clip because it's starting to get quite hot outside. Also working on hanging up our artwork here. So you're seeing kind of like the in process of that. I don't know if I said this before, but all of these are prints that I made in college, and they're mostly about Grace and I. So that's us as fairies. This is pictures of Grace and I when we first got together. It was during the pandemic, so we could only go on dates like in parks and bring our own blankets and be like socially distanced and stuff. So that is a print of that. And this is a mono print called Normal Day Fantasy. That's of us sitting in the window of a little flat, which I made while I was in college before we lived together, and now we live together, so it's like very special. I did not make this actually. Someone in my printmaking class in college made this cow, and I just thought it was awesome. So it was the first piece of art that Grace and I bought together, and now it's on our mantle. And then this is a print from our friend Alana, who runs Artazine and does zine workshops in London, which is very cool. We need to get a proper frame for it, but that's kind of what's happening with the art stuff here. I'm holding some current projects to show you. So this is going to be the next Material Grrrlz knitting pattern, and they're called the Polly Pocket Pouch. So they fit like in the palm of your hand, and they're just meant to be these like cute little pouches, because I always have extra bags inside of my bag that are holding random things like my keys and my lipstick and stuff like that. Can't just like swim around in a big tote bag, so I often have like Glossier bags and just like other little bags in there to hold those things. And I was like, why don't I make, you know, a cute version that I can knit and turn it into a pattern. I made this one that is pink and has beads and then a crocheted chain to tie the bow. When you open them up, they look like this. So you make ruffles across the top, and then when it ties up, you still keep that nice ruffled bit there. It can actually hold quite a bit. So like you could fit like AirPods in here and lipstick, stitch markers, the works. So lots of stuff would fit in there, and there's gonna be a tutorial on how to insert beads and stuff as well, because I think that is so cute. And my other one, I held a strand of glitter yarn with it. So it's a darker pink with a glitter strand of yarn instead of inserting beads. And then I tied ribbon through the holes at the top to tie it off, which I think is kind of nice to get a different texture in there. You can see at the top you knit some holes that you then weave the strand through. So that was the last Material Grrrlz pattern that I finished. I actually just, right before filming this, like literally 2 minutes ago, ordered the next magazine because I just finished it today, and I'm so excited. I think it might be my favorite one yet. I just feel like I'm hitting a good groove. I love how the patterns all came together. There's cool articles. So that was ordered today. In about like 5 days that will be shipped to my studio, and I will get to start sending them out. But then next week I'm hosting a launch party for the magazine, and my other project that I want to show that I made for that are some temporary tattoo flash sheets that I'm going to give to everyone that comes. So this will be tucked inside of each person's magazine when they come. So I designed it with all of the Material Grrrlz colors. There's a Material Grrrlz logo. This graphic here I use a lot on our website, but it's like an iMessage text that says Fiber Art Bimbos Unite. And then I just made a bunch of other like Material Grrrl things like cowgirl boots and bows and put it all together. So this is a little flash sheet. People will have like scissors and stuff at the table that they can cut stuff out, and I'll put water out so we can paste them on right then and there. But that was really fun to design. I just did it in Procreate on my iPad and then ordered them online. There's this website, I think it's called like yourdesign.com or .uk or something, where you can just order tattoo sheets. That's a really nice custom thing to add, and I want to keep doing stuff like that. I think in the future it'll also be fun to commission other people to make a flash sheet for whatever magazine we're launching, like give them the magazine early, see what inspires them, and have them make a little flash sheet. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know, because I think that would be super fun. I think this is like a cute thing to give away as a part of that event. I've been trying to film this for so long. First, someone had their car alarm blaring outside for like 15 minutes, and then I got like halfway through and ran out of phone storage. So got it all figured out now. Hopefully we are back with a complete book review. I have been reading Unsuitable by Eleanor Medhurst, History of Lesbian Fashion. Loved it. I'm a big fan of Eleanor. She does some great TikTok content of just like little tidbits of lesbian fashion history. And as a lesbian and textile artist, I knew this was going to be right up my alley. Each of the chapters can stand alone, so it's really interesting. I feel like it felt very accessible and digestible as a history book, because you get to touch on so many different topics, hear so many different stories, so it stays super interesting and it doesn't get like too into the weeds about anything, but it definitely still has some good like meat to the stories. Throughout history, she talks about the cultural context that this fashion is existing in as well. So that includes laws of like homosexuality and how that was criminalized in different ways. Also how just people had different attitudes about homosexuality throughout history. And so a lot of this fashion is stuff that might have been sported in private versus public. One of my favorite parts of the book were her discussions on butch femme dynamics and fashion that's involved in those relationships, especially throughout history. I think that the butch femme dynamic and identity is just generally misunderstood by anyone who's not a lesbian, which is unfortunate. And Eleanor says in the book, you know, a lot of times lesbian fashion history, when we look back, people just say, oh, well, whatever was in style for men is what was in style for butches, and whatever was in style for women was in style for femmes, and that is not the case. And talks about key points where that diverged, and she talks about just in general how when that clothing is put on a lesbian body and, you know, a part of lesbian presentation, a part of a lesbian relationship, already has a different presentation and political meaning. It was just like a meaningful book to read because I feel like I knew that I was going to like it. I knew that I was going to find the content interesting, but I didn't realize until I was really like reading through it, like I haven't read something like this before. Like I haven't seen my community's history documented like this before, and it's so cool to see a whole book that's dedicated to it. That just warmed my heart, and there are lots of other discussions kind of like that and on that same vein in the book, talking about lesbians and gender and how gender influenced lesbian clothing both individually and in couples, and just lots of cool stuff. So I'm gonna put it in my bookshop, which I always link down below, but basically it's a shop where you can go order books and you get them online, but local bookshops get a cut of the profits. Next vlog is gonna be a big one. I've got a busy couple of weeks coming up, so lots of meetings and events. I'm gonna be doing my first like market style event, launch party for the next issue of the magazine, and I'm gonna go to some art exhibitions. So lots going on. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see when that goes out. My phone just ran out of storage again. I need to figure out like an actually sustainable method to prevent that. But anyway, I will figure that out after this. The last thing I wanted to say was that I love doing these vlogs, and I'm going to keep doing kind of like bi-weekly what I'm reading, what I'm making, behind the scenes of events and things like that. But on top of that, I'm interested in starting to do some more like themed videos, and I often get some of the same questions about just like what I'm doing as an artist and running events and things like that, as well as like life in London, visas, flats, all that stuff. And I haven't really like talked a ton about it. So I'd love to make more like helpful videos, if that makes sense. If you have something specific that you want to see, leave a comment, send me a DM. I'd be super interested to hear. What I'm working on right now is a video that's all about like how to host creative workshops and knit clubs, because I often get asked like how I got started doing that, how I find space, how I found people, stuff like that. So I'm gonna go in depth on just everything about how I run knit clubs, and I'm gonna be filming that throughout July with all the events that I do. So I'm gonna take you guys behind the scenes and just say like, how did I find this venue? How did I market this? All that sort of stuff. So if you have specifics about running creative workshops that you want to know, that's what I'm working on right now. Let me know what you're interested in, and then if there's anything else you'd like to hear as well, I'm super open to ideas because I've been loving making YouTube videos and I want to try out some other ones as well. But with that, and knowing that my phone will shut off at any second, I'm gonna leave you there. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and thanks for watching.